each one contributes to choice. Okay, so I'm just going to draw this over here. Okay, here's our brain. Okay, I'm going to draw I drew these in black on the other diagram on the computer. Okay. And we can add this little part here. Okay. So what parts do I have drawn on here? Can you help some label some parts? Right. Okay, basal ganglia. Here, it's right here. There's my basal ganglia. What else? Someone else. Another part. Come on. Choose a part. Okay, substantia nigra, that's down in here. So substantia nigra is not involved, well, you missed this part, but is not involved with choice. Because substantia nigra just activates the muscles. So that once the substantia nigra is activated, your choices have already been made. Okay, but I just realized you had heard the first part of this, so you're absolved. Any teasing. So now, except for that part right there. So now, what's this part here? The curvy part. Begins with an H. Hippocampus. Okay, so your hippocampus is your memory. Your memory has something to do with making a choice. Should. Evaluate things from before, evaluate things possibly in the future. Great. Okay? So your basal ganglia has a lot to do with choice because it's the activation of motor programs. Okay? Good morning. Okay? So, what's this part have to do with choice? Primary motor cortex. The primary motor cortex tells which muscles to move. Period. Which muscles are going to move? That's the primary motor cortex. Okay? So what is the premotor cortex? The premotor cortex is going to plan where the behavior ends and what's the next behavior. So the premotor cortex is planning sequence of behavior. Sequence. So if I need to put the cap back on the pen, so a lot of times if you notice that I will sit, this pen cap's not working very well, but I'll stick it on my finger. Yeah, I don't use the pens very much in my classes anymore, but I'm really paranoid about the pens drying out. So I always do this. So as I'm writing, and then immediately I can put the cap back on, and then if you watch carefully, I will push down with my thumb to make sure that the cap is firmly on. Dr. Utgard, when he teaches, he takes all the caps off his pens and sits them up like this on the thing, and I sit. It's terrifying, okay? So, but now, in order to get the brown one on the brown one and the purple one on the purple one, what do I need to do? To adjust my motor program. I need the feedback of the color. So my occipital lobe back here allows my hand to choose which pen to put it on. Can I feel the difference between these two caps? Can I use my parietal lobe? Why not? They're exactly the same. If I have two different kinds of pens, I don't need the feedback from my visual systems. I can use the feedback from my tactile systems to change which motor program I'm activating. But I'm still twitching the same muscles to get the same behavior. It's just how those muscles get chosen. It changes. So what is the supplementary motor cortex doing then to the premotor cortex? funnels the feedback into the premotor cortex, so I don't have to spend time thinking about it. It just kind of happens without going. It's like taking a sip off your water. Have you ever taken a sip off and forgot to take a cap off? Yeah. Or my favorite is not putting the cap firmly back on. And then in our minivan, I need someone to invent a Hydro Flask-sized cup holders for automobiles. Adjustable. Well, the ones in the van kind of work, but little rubber grommets that hold smaller things are all smashed now because of our Hydro Flask being jammed into the cup holders. So if you put anything smaller in there, it just tips over. Yeah. So it would be nice if they made cup holders with adjustable grommets. So you twist the top and it adjusts the diameter of the top. It's not too hard engineering-wise to make, but that would be very nice to put in a car. So someone please patent that so we can have it for next car. Anyway, but so with my flask that I'm using right now, if I put it there, I jam on the brakes, it just falls forward. It goes clunk. And the other morning it flew forward and dumped ice water on my son's sock on his way to school. Squish, squish, squish. Anyway, so yeah, so maybe if I have a lot to write down in a short period of time, I'm going to take the cap off and leave the cap off so I can write. And in fact, they actually do make the little ends of these so that you can maintain cap holding technology without, okay? But can't do that, bless you. Okay, so the motivation comes in. Motivation comes in, okay? And the motivation comes in from lots of different places. So we're going to go through two different ways that motivations come in. I'm so happy this works. These are my old lectures from, I used to use Macromedia Flash, which I like because it's scalable, if I could actually grab the edge of it. So I could easily take this and put it onto the board so it fits without on the other part. I like the whiteboard part better. I just need to start making the whiteboard parts fit better. See how it kind of fits the... Anyway, so we're going to get into, very simple, get into the motivation of your hypothalamus. The motivation that your brain gives you to choose behaviors. And this is we're still in the unconscious choice mode. And I think this is really fascinating stuff because as you go on in psych, you start to realize how much of our motivation, how much of our choice is unconscious. Is it all of it unconscious or just some of it? Bless you. So is a sneeze an unconscious choice? Well, right now, what's floating around the world? Pollen. Plant sex is everywhere. Oh, it's vicious. It's annoying. The stupid trees are... My daughter's white car is green right now because of the liquid amber trees in front of her house. They're just raining pollen down on everything. You see the bees right now. Bees are just completely coated. Every bee's like trying to fly because they collect all that pollen on their skin. They don't really use it for anything, but they drop it off wherever they go plan the next one. But so when you start looking at the basic the basic idea of the hypothalamus is unconscious. It's your unconscious mind. Freud would have loved knowing about the hypothalamus if he did, because he said all of our motivation is unconscious. But, okay, so the hypothalamus does four basic things. It regulates sleep, controls body temperature, controls fluid balance, and regulates hunger. That's what your hypothalamus does. But each one of these things is a very complicated neurochemical pathway, which we'll go through in a few minutes here. Each one is a complicated neurochemical pathway, but does it directly change our behavior? Influence. And probably the second part of Thursday and most of Tuesday, we're going to be talking about this. Well, what are your emotions? So emotions are pre-reactions to things. Pre-reaction. So you're reacting to something before it happens. That's why you're producing an emotion. Reacting to it before it happens. It's like one of the girls this morning in my intro class spilled her latte in the digital theater on the rug. Ooh. Well, it's air conditioned. It won't rot for quite a while. Hopefully by the end of the semester. Anyway, so if I get mad, what is that emotion telling me? Yeah.
So when you say pre-reactions, it's pre-reactions of what you're going to do, not to, because the action already happened and that's what you have.
Right, but if I get mad at her, I'm producing an emotional response of anger toward her. Right? I'm not. But if I were, why would I get mad? Why would I get angry? I'm anticipating getting in trouble for her spilling something in the digital theater later. So I'm going to get mad at her as a response to what might happen as a result of this particular spill. So the emotions we'll talk a lot more about are very similar to the way that we're talking about these things today. Is that they're pushing forward your thoughts, pushing forward your predictions of outcome, and they feed directly into the supplementary motor cortex. They're pre-feedback based on your experience. Cool list. Okay, so we're going to talk about consciousness a little bit later when we talk about sleep. But the suprachiasmatic nucleus regulates sleep. Regulates sleep. And I wanted to put this one up here first because the suprachiasmatic nucleus regulates sleep by producing of chemicals. No, supra means above. Oh, supra means below. Sorry, supra. Super is above, supra is below. Chiasmatic is the optic chiasm. And nucleus means it's a cluster of cell bodies. So it's not complicated. It's just German words love to mix. In Germany, they put like 6 words together. Like, I forget what the word for like pencil is, Kugelschreiber. And, you know, there's all sorts of crazy words they just keep sticking together. Like the term for a tank, if you translate it literally, it's an armored car with gun and turret. And so it's like the name for a tank. For shot putter and discus thrower, it's Leichtathletik Feldbewegung. That's I'm a shot putter. But I mean, Leichtathletik is track, and Leichtathletik is like track and field, and then Feldbewegung has to do with the stupid picking up heavy things. Anyway, Germans are funny that way. Okay, so going back, suprachiasmatic nucleus is about sleep and, well, sorry. I already said that. Suprachiasmatic nucleus is all about production of this hormone called PER. It's actually a protein called PER. So every hour, it squeezes out PER. Squirt, PER. Squirt, PER. So every hour it squeezes out this PER. So what do you think PER tells you? Well, it tells you a period. So as you develop your PER hormone after a certain period, it changes your behaviors. So PER is produced relatively slowly. TIM, however, is produced fast. So PER might be protein produced every 10 hours, every day maybe, depending on the PER that it's being affected by. Fruit flies and songbirds produce PER. It's actually pretty funny. So if you keep a songbird in your house, I took a video of these guys. Stand by. Should be one of the latest ones on here. You're really not helping me, computer. That's in one tree. What are they doing? No. They're going, hey, you up? They're looking for sex. Parents aren't home. The parents are home and they're probably having. Okay. But, good morning. I'm glad you missed that. That was awkward. Okay. So the birds are, over the course of about 3 weeks, all these stupid little budgie birds are about this big. They have yellow backs on their heads. Some of them have orange backs on their heads. Some of them have white stripes on them or black stripes on them. They're just these little stupid Tweety birds, about this big. Every single one makes its own noise. Tweet, 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 twit, 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 tweet, tweet, tweet. And the mockingbird listens. And then you will notice over the next 3 or 4 weeks, what will the mockingbirds be doing? At 3 in the morning going, chee, 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 ba, 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 ba. And they make all sorts, whatever noise that they've heard, they will they go through the repertoire. And if you count, they repeat. This is when you can't go back to sleep. They'll repeat the same one after about 10 different bird sequences. And then after about 2 or 3 sequences of repeating, then they shift gears, and then we'll have one repeat, and then they start going out. So if you record it, you can actually pay attention to that. Yeah. To attract a mate. And so what the little birds do is that the bird with the coolest song, the ladybirds go, ooh, I like your sound, and fly over to them. But this is how come it's only for a very short period of time? Right now, all the plants are pollinating and everything is producing a tremendous amount of pollen. And the birds are mating and having eggs. Later on, when all these wildflowers go to seed, the moms will be incubating the eggs. Why would they wait for the plants to go to seed before they incubate their eggs? They eat seeds. So if they lay an egg in December, they'll die because they don't have enough food to have the egg. So this period is a really important thing. So over the time, this period has come up to about a year, and it's a little bit seasonally adjusted, but it's pretty much about the same time every year. The stupid swallows fly through Capistrano. What do swallows eat? Oh, come on. Bugs. They're down south in the winter where the bugs are, and then they fly north in the summer where the bugs are, and then they fly back south again in the winter where the bugs are. They hang out where the bugs are. And if they didn't follow this period, what happens? They die. They starve to death. And so they all fly through and poop on everything, and then they fly through and poop on everything, and they're only in Capistrano for 2 or 3 days. Then they're off. Then they're gone again. Okay? So with this idea of this hormone PER allows them to migrate, and allows them. So what it does, it gives this unconscious influence. And it's the suprachiasmatic nucleus because it's right by the optic chiasm where the eyeball nerves come in. If it's right where the eyeball nerves come in, then the animal can get sunlight and give feedback to this PER and adjust it seasonally as it goes. If you notice, this time changes very quickly at this time of year? It's like when the time first changed, we had needed our lights to go biking in the morning. Now we don't need our lights to go biking in the morning. And I hope they just get rid of the whole time change thing and just let it roll. Just so I stop having to lose that hour. Losing that hour sucks. I hate it. Gaining the hour, really don't care. But losing the hour really sucks. I don't think I ever make it up. I think every year in your life you just keep losing that hour and eventually you're just dead. Now, positive energy. I'm with you. Okay. So now, but then there's this TIM hormone. And TIM is the same thing, but TIM builds daily. And so as TIM is being built, the longer your TIM, the longer you've been awake. How do you repair TIM? How do you get rid of TIM? Sleep. And sleep repairs TIM. And as soon as you wake up at night or at 3 o'clock in the morning, listening to that mockingbird, it starts again. So if you don't get enough sleep, what happens? You get sleepy in physio. If you get sleepy in physio, it's because your TIM chain is still too long. And if your TIM chain is too long, as soon as you're sitting quiet, gone. Okay? Especially, anybody have a night class? They're brutal. Yeah, especially, and they're hard. I mean, if you're a night person, you're like fired up and tippity-tap, let's go. But if you're like my Grossmont night class last summer, a lot of my students were morning people that were taking it because they didn't want to take an online class. And they're like sitting there. Well, yeah, working nights, how do you survive working nights? You have to stay on the same schedule, which loses all your friends and family because they're not nocturnal. But my buddy Henry, who was a CHP officer before he retired, he had to work off shift, go in at midnight, get off at 4 in the morning, or 3 or 5 in the morning. And the problem with that is he would come home, take the kids to school, and then sleep. But his sleep went from 8:30 in the morning until noon maybe? 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 1. Is that enough sleep? No, you need at least 6 hours. 6 hours you can function, 7, 8, you can function at normal functioning levels. A lot of college students who burn candles at both ends, what happens? You have too much TIM and not enough time. And so anytime you're sitting still quietly, even driving, your brain will just say, good night, and shut you off. Okay, so we're going to talk more about this later, but I just want you to keep the idea that your hypothalamus is always producing hormones. These hormones happen to be proteins. They're protein produced at a certain level. As the level is produced, when the level of the hormone or protein changes, it changes your consciousness. Okay? When it changes your consciousness, it influences your choices. Okay. So let's look at body temperature. Okay, so body temperature is super simple. Okay, so here's your hypothalamus. Here's the optic nerve. Here's the thalamus, lateral geniculate nucleus of the thalamus right here. And then there's the occipital lobe. Okay, so there's an area called the preoptic area, right here. Why do you think it's called the preoptic area? Whoa. It's right before the optic nerve enters the brain. Right down here is the suprachiasmatic nucleus because it's right below the optic nerve. So the preoptic area, it has to do with the behavior of emotions. Not emotions, sorry. The preoptic area is the behavior of hormones. No, the behavior of your emotions is right here. It's called the singular tract. Oh, look at it back here. Okay, so the preoptic area is about the production of proteins, and those proteins change your behavior. For example, after watching you take 2 or 3 sips off of your water that looks very cold and frosty, what happened in my back of my throat? I'm thirsty. Now, I actually have some in my office, which I will get. But why do I feel drier after watching her take a nice couple cold sips of her water? Why do I feel thirsty? I drank 3 of these yesterday, and I was still dried out. So the preoptic area triggers the production of hormones at a certain particular rate. If I watch somebody take a drink of water, what happens to the production of thirst hormones? They go up. Even though my hydration levels have not changed over the course of 6 minutes, but my thirst, what is the thirst? We use the word drive, biological drives. One of the easiest biological drives to talk about, as opposed to talking about thirst, because thirst is a little bit more complicated, body temperature. Body temperature. Why did I need to drink so much water yesterday? It was warm outside. It was the first warm day we've had. It's the first day that it got over 80 degrees for, seems like forever. Yes, I'm very happy. I got sunburned on one arm because I was grading in the beach chair in my yard, and the sun moved, inconsiderate sun, and the umbrella that I was sitting under still was shading my laptop, but got my arm and across one side of my chest. So I put my t-shirt over my arm after I realized that, but it was too late. My winter skin is not very susceptible to sun. Very offended by the sun right now. I'll get some summer skin. Well, my face is nice and tan because of skiing, but the rest of me is not so much.
But you mean it's very susceptible?
It's not, I would say yes, very susceptible. I'm much more sensitive right now than I should be. Okay, so what's interesting is your body temperature is regulated by the production of proteins. So if I'm producing proteins, okay, if I'm producing proteins, oh, I can't draw on that, that's why. I have to draw on it this way. What? I'll show you in a second. It slices it and spins it apart. Okay, so what is my production of proteins? What's the average body temperature, by the way? 98.6. As you get older, my body temperature is closer to 97. Yeah, unlike KSON used to be. It's not funny because it's not KSON anymore, but whatever. Okay, but so my body temperature is closer to 97. I'm old. Why do old people have the house set at 85 degrees? Because as you get really old, you can find an old person with an average body temperature of close to 95. I don't know why 0.3, but 95.1. Okay? You can get pretty low. 95.7. Yeah, whatever that is. Old school hip hop. Okay, but again, so you have this average body temperature. For a while, before I started lifting weights, my body squishiness was a little bit heavier. I'm actually pretty squishy right now, but I'm strong. Back then, I was a little bit squishy. My body temperature was actually getting closer to 96. The more squishy I was, what happened with my body temperature? Why would it go lower? I'm more insulated. No. Metabolism. Your body temperature is based on your metabolism. Babies always seem to be warm and cozy. Why do they tell cats also are super warm? Anybody know what a cat's average body temperature is? 103. Yeah, pretty high. That's why they're all like, when you pick them up, they're like snuggly. But their fur actually keeps them nice and toasty. But when a cat goes out in the cold, what does it do? Because we don't have cold cats in California. They go poof, and they get super fluffy. Has anybody ever had their cat come in from outside and be like super fluffy? Usually that means that something scared the crap out of it outside. The coyote just missed the coyote. Cat walks in, nothing's wrong. Poof. It's the Garfield episode where it poof, cat goes poof. Anyway. So, yeah, okay, so at 98.6 degrees on a normal person, this is when the ideal production of proteins. When the protein level, when your body temperature gets high, what happens to the production of proteins? It starts breaking down. And it causes your body temperature to drop. When your body temperature gets too low, the production level changes, and your body says, oh, increase production, and causes your body temperature to rise. One of the things, there's a hormone that's released by your T cells. The prostaglandin that's released by your T cells, immune system cells. When your immune system cells release this hormone, what does it do to your body temperature? Everybody knows this. Yeah. When you get sick, what happens to your body temperature? It goes up. Now, it does. If you have a fever, that means your body temperature is up past, I forget what the official threshold of a fever is, but if you just get up to 99 degrees, can you notice a difference? We're talking 0.4 degrees. Yes. What does it feel like when you have a fever? You feel cold. And you shiver. Why would you shiver and feel cold even though you're burning up? What signal is being sent? No, cool down. You feel hot and cold simultaneously. The prostaglandins release the chemicals that raise your body temperature. Your hypothalamus is saying, the preoptic area of your hypothalamus is saying, cool down. You're too hot. So you feel cold, but why is your body shivering? What's the point of shivering? To warm your body up. So are our bodies good at regulating their temperature? Yes. There's a guy called the Iceman, Mitt Hoff. Okay? He's very cool, literally. But what he does is he challenges the perception that humans need lots of fancy clothing in order to stay warm. And basically what he has discovered is that your body has what we call a set point. In 3 weeks from now, an 80-degree day won't cause you to change what you're wearing. But right now, an 80-degree day causes everybody to start sweating profusely and drinking tons of water. Well, how come it won't affect you 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now? You get used to it. Your body figures it out. When we go up to the mountains, and we were up there, and it was in the 20s when we were skiing over Christmas. And one day we went skiing, it was 14 degrees. That's freaking cold. But by the time we were there for 2 or 3 days, I'm going to take the trash out, taking the dog for a walk. I'm wearing my shorts, my slippers, and a jacket. And am I cold? No. Because your body just goes, okay, I get it, changes the way your body's producing these proteins, and your metabolism goes up. And so you just burn more calories, and you don't notice the cold. It's really kind of interesting, but the idea of a set point, I'm going to write this up here, this is the key for understanding. Your hypothalamus doesn't work in absolutes, it's ranges. Especially when we talk about body weight, it's the proteins that are produced are not an absolute level, it's a relative level. As I was getting older and not lifting weights, even though I was running, not well, but I tried, and even though I was biking, that doesn't use enough muscles. And so as my fat levels went up and my muscle levels went down, my temperature went down. My body's set point went down. Which is not a bad thing, except every calorie that I ate, was I burning as much if my body temperature is lower? No. The second thing is that I would sweat a lot more. Why would I sweat more? What causes you to start sweating? Raising your body temperature. But I would raise my body temperature to a normal level and start sweating. Too hot relative to my set point calories. And so that's kind of the fun thing I've noticed, is that my wife noticed this as well, is that now that I'm a lot more fit than I was, I don't sweat as much. Because my body is used to a higher metabolism caloric burn level. So when I go out and if I work out, in the wintertime, sometimes I don't even break a sweat while we're working out in the wintertime because it's cold. In the summertime, when it's hot, though, I'm a faucet. I'm a very efficient cooler. It's gross, actually. It's just kind of yucky. Okay, so just to see where this is, there's the preoptic area. This is what's called the reverse stain. So the black areas are actually glial cells. So here's the optic nerve coming in. Here is the preoptic area, right before the optic nerve enters the hypothalamus. What's in the center of this preoptic area, one of these big gaps? Fluid. So the hormones that are released from the hypothalamus are often released into the cerebrospinal fluid. So they influence the whole areas around them. Is hormonal influence fast or slow? Slow. Because it's spread throughout the fluids of your body, not spread directly neural communications. Okay, so let's get out of there. Fluids are pretty easy to understand. Oh, this is called a nephron. This is called a nephron. So what we have here is a blood vessel. Super easy. Okay, so blood is flowing through this pipe. Your blood goes through something which I'm not even going to try to spell, called a glomerulus. Glomerulus filter. This glomerulus, okay, I could probably look up how to spell glomerulus, but I can't, because I don't know how to say it enough to look it up. But this little filter is really kind of cool. All the blood cells stay in the capillary. What comes out of the filter? Coffee. No. All the water that's in your blood comes out. The blood cells stay in the pipe, all the water comes out. What comes with the water?
Any toxin?
Anything that has an electric charge to it. Anything that's stuck to the water comes out. So all of your body's wastes, all of the amino acids, a lot of proteins get stuck into into the water, into the charged particles. Then something really interesting happens. As the water flows down this nephron, that flows down this pipe, a lot of the sodium is drawn back in to the blood cells. Sodium channels drawn back in. So what comes back in with the sodium? Water. So what we have with this glomerulus thing is you have a filter. All of the crap comes out of your blood, and the water goes back in your blood. Do the blood cells ever leave? No. Is it good to have blood in your urine? No. Just saying. Ever go get checked right away. Okay. So this little filter right here is an amazing thing. How fast does your body filter all of its fluids? Not pretty fast, like psychotically fast. Wait. Almost got that. Now this one's pretty good. How long does it take for your body to filter fluid through the kidney? Half a cup of blood every minute. Some metric measurements, please. Jeez. Okay. So every minute, you have how many? 6 pints of blood in you? 7 pints of blood? Anybody want to volunteer? We can. Never mind. Okay. So, drink it. Okay. So every minute, half a cup of whatever that means goes through this particular system, and so this is constantly going. If you eat asparagus, crunch, 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 crunch. Okay, raw asparagus. Wait 10 minutes. What will be in your urine? Asparagus. Take one of them giant horse pill vitamins. Wait 10 minutes. Pee. What will happen with your urine? It'll turn either A, smell bad, or B, turn green. Depending, this is what's cool, is before the blood gets here, it goes through your entire body. So if the urine smells bad after eating a vitamin, that means you're using more nutrients than you need. In other words, you're taking more nutrients than your body needs. Like for people that are on these super crazy keto diets, that are trying to make their bodies in ketosis in order to drop fat. Well, what that does is that causes the amount of crap in your urine, because where does this eventually go? No, your heart. Keto diets are not bad for you if you follow them properly. They're just not sustainable. They're very good in the short term. They're just really hard to maintain them. It takes a significant amount of effort to maintain them and be healthy. But they're not bad for you. It's the problem is people don't do them correctly, and people don't do anything correctly when it comes to nutrition. Because you see donuts, and donuts are the perfect food. So you're like, I'm eating that, chomp, and why am I eating that? I don't know. But it was good. My hypothalamus was eating another one. And by the time you're at 6, you're crying in your car, feeling bad about yourself. Moving on. Okay. But what color should your urine be? Not necessarily clear, because can you drink too much water? Yeah, there's these two hormones, antidiuretic hormone, another hormone called vasopressin. Antidiuretic hormone causes you to antidiuresis, hold fluid. Vasopressin raises blood pressure. Vasopressin. Both of these things are ways of conserving fluids. If you have dark colored urine, that's not good. That means that you have not enough water because your body is absorbing water, and whatever is left, you remember all the water is coming in here, and the darker, the browner the urine. I used to have jars of urine where in my office, and somebody got upset by it, so I had to get rid of them. But what I did is I drank in the morning after my morning coffee. I didn't drink any water at all. And that at 8 o'clock, I peed in a cup and had a sample of my urine, and then I drank a bottle of water, and then at 8:45, I peed in the cup, and then I drank 2 bottles of water, and then every half hour, I peed in the cup, different little vials, and I had them all lined up on my desk, and someone said, that's disgusting, and I had them for about 10 years. What? Okay, yeah, it's a little weird. Okay, moving on. But what's cool is you could actually see the dark brown to drinking 5 bottles of water in a half an hour to crystal clear. And it was actually kind of cool. There was actually a little bacteria colony that started growing in the last one because when you drink lots and lots of water, what do you flush out? All this bad stuff that's floating around. So is it good to drink enough water to flush stuff out? I highly recommend green tea. Green tea has a chemical that blocks ADH. What do you mean, blocking ADH? What would happen if I block antidiuretic hormone? It's a diuretic. Blocking ADH causes diuresis. Coffee, for a lot of people, is a diuresis. And it actually blocks the absorption of water throughout your entire intestines. Big Mike, one of my really good friends that I used to work at, he was 6'6", 320 pounds. Nobody smelled worse than that guy. Oh. His job was he cleaned the trays at the rat cages. So underneath all the rat cages is these big trays, and you have to clean all the poo off of them. So he smelled like that, and then his own self, which is just not good. Anyway, he was like the center for Mesa College's football team for 3 years, I think. Anyway, he never graduated. He just played football. But he always made the joke that we're a bunch of pansies and whatever else, and nobody can drink coffee like professors that work at a research lab. We can just slam coffee all day. We're borderline Navy guys being able to drink coffee. And so we used to make espresso. We had espresso machines. So we make just a big mug of espresso and just drink that as, quote, coffee. So we made him a latte with that stuff. He drank about half of it and then was in the bathroom for 45 minutes. Why did it cause his stomach to completely explode? He's not used to that dose of caffeine, and it caused a complete blocking absorption of water. If I block the absorption of water, where's all that water go? In your intestines. Diarrhea. And he's like, oh, what are you guys doing to yourselves? Like, yeah, we had to move after that. It was terrible. Anyway, so alcohol, does it block ADH? Yeah, the old joke of the beer pee. So if you drink enough beer and you're actually drinking a beer while you're peeing, it feels like it's going straight through you. Summer goals. Okay? It feels so you're drinking and peeing at the same time, and you get the sensation that it's just going straight through. Please don't have food and drink in the bathroom. Moving on. Okay. So again, so does coffee also increase blood pressure? Yeah. Yeah, which also can increase diuresis. By increasing the blood pressure, it actually forces more water out. And so, one of the ways that help people lower their blood pressure is by taking diuretics. Why would I take a diuretic to lower my blood pressure? Less fluid, which put less pressure on the things, which allows the vasopressin to act more normally to balance your fluid. So there's a lot more to this if you take physiology, but this is, to me, this is so mind-blowing how this works, is that we regulate, we have a set point of what we call hydration. Everybody has a set point of hydration. How do you get your set point of hydration? It's fluid balance. It's not how active you are. Everybody has a natural set point for their hydration levels. So if you drink just like 1 bottle of water a day, just 1 bottle of water a day, can you be properly hydrated? Yeah, because people's bodies figure it out. There's a bunch of researchers that say that most Americans are chronically dehydrated. Chronically dehydrated. Because what do we tend to consume other than water? Yes, so sugary sodas or, because sugar, does that increase diuresis? Yeah, sugar also increases diuresis because sugar means that all the sugar that your body hasn't used, your body will put out into the fluid, which increases the amount of fluid coming out in your urine. Drinking a sugary drink is not good to hydrate you. However, why is Gatorade popular? It doesn't have enough electrolytes in it. No, San Diego tap water has more electrolytes in it than Gatorade. It's okay. So, all right, I got an ice cube. So what happens with Gatorade? Gatorade was invented because they wanted to produce a fluid that your body would absorb faster. So the electrolytes are not actually fueling your muscles at all. They're actually just absorbing the water into your system faster. If I add vitamin C to your water, if I add a lemon squeeze to your water, do you absorb that water faster? Yes, because one of the things that vitamin C does is allows for nutrients to be absorbed into your body faster. That's why eating vitamin C is actually good for you. If you have vitamin C and your multivitamin, you can absorb more of the calories from your vitamin C. And no mega doses of anything don't do anything for anybody, aside from make your pee very orange. Okay, moving on. My favorite is that neon green urine that you get from some of those vitamins. Okay. Oh, is this the pain one? Hello? Hello? Aw. Oh, I missed it. The pain, they called me yesterday about my pain. We're calling about your pain. I have pain. I didn't know I had pain. We can help manage your pain. I really want to know if they're going to try to sell me OxyContin online. Wouldn't that be great? No, they did yesterday, though, in Stats.
No, I mean, like, they could just sell you online? I thought it was like, they're trying to, like, regulate it.
It's a robot calling from Pakistan. I don't know. They can do whatever they want. Okay.
I've been texted by weed distributors.
Nice. Where's my delivery, man? Okay, so.
Not buyers, but distributors.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah, the buyer's on a separate phone, I understand. Okay, so. So think about this as a set point. If I drink, like, I will drink probably 2 or 3 of these a day of water over the course of the day. If I don't drink 2 or 3 of these over the course of the day, what happens to my hydration levels? It goes down. But if I'm, like when we're up skiing or something, I can't carry 3 of these the whole time that we're skiing. I carry a smaller water bottle in my pocket. And I will drink probably 2 or 3 of those. What if I chug 6 gallons of water when I get home? Would that work? Well, you can actually get what's called water toxicity. And water toxicity is if you drink too much water, it causes your body not to be able to flush out the nutrients, and you can actually die from too much water. It's about 2 gallons in an hour. If you drink 2 gallons of water in an hour, your body can't process quite that much fluid. There's some lady that died on the Hold Your Wee for a Wee. A nurse called the radio show and said, get her to the hospital immediately. She's suffering from water toxic something. But it causes your potassium levels to get too low, which can cause all your blood vessels in your brain to dilate, which causes aneurysms and can kill you. So don't drink water. Now, okay. So there's two basic motivations of thirst. There's two basic motivations of thirst. There's osmotic thirst, which is right behind the screen. Sorry. I want to make the just don't. There's a setting to make it so it doesn't auto snap on the window, and I cannot find it. Okay. Exactly the same as where it was. You are a really stupid computer. I mean that in all kindness, though, computer. Don't snap. Ah! Fine. Okay, so what does osmotic mean? Osmotic thirst is salt. Salt. So osmotic thirst is you have a part of your brain, which we'll go through in just a second, that records the salt levels in your urine. I mean, well, it's in your blood, technically. So when your blood is too salty, it makes you drink water. So if you ever eaten the giant thing of popcorn at the movies, is that ridiculously salty? Yeah. We eat the red bags from Costco. It's not very salty at all, but I dump Lowry seasoned salt on it or that tahine salt. Super awesome goodness. Yeah, the Lowry seasoned salt is old school white people. The tahine is for Mexican people. We also put sometimes cumin and garlic powder on it to get the Middle Eastern flair. Anyway, just wanted to keep all bases covered. Okay, but actually the cumin and garlic powder on it is super good too. Does it add a lot of salt? Yeah. So when you add those salts to it, why does it taste better? Based on what we talked about before. It enhances whatever flavor is available. Okay, so that's what butter is butter is salty fat. Salty fat. Okay, so if you eat too much salt, and this is actually why Americans are more chronically dehydrated, it's not because of our fluid balance. It's because of our salt intake. Americans eat way too much salt. If you want to find out how much salt you're eating, stop eating anything with salt in it for 2 days. Just try it. You can have things like broccoli that has natural salts in it, but don't have anything with added salt in it. You will lose 3 or 4 pounds. Why will you lose 3 or 4 pounds just cutting out salt? Don't try it. Just disappear. Poof. Yeah, you're mean. But you retain because you get this set point, and your body maintains extra fluid to balance out your typical salty foods. And that's what's really funny. Sometimes if you go on a long bike ride, what happens to your water balance? I lost 11 pounds on a bike ride. 11 pounds. Gallon of water. Because am I carrying a lot of extra water? Yeah, like a camel. It's not in my stomach, really. It's distributed all throughout all of your cells. You can easily tell this is that whenever you go from low altitude to high altitude, if you're retaining a lot of water, what happens? You bloat. The air pressure changes, and all of a sudden you can't get your ring off. You're all puffy. The same thing if you go in the ocean. If you're retaining a lot of water, what happens? All the salt messes with you. It's kind of cool. Okay. So here's the part of the brain. The long words. We're just talking about this in my intro class. Is that the social psychology has all of the long words in the intro. De-individualization, and those kind of words. Psychoneuroimmunology. Okay. So the part of the brain is called the OVLT. Anybody know what Ovaltine is? It's a vitamin fortified chocolate milk. So a bunch of researchers at anybody know where Gatorade comes from, by the way? Start history lesson. Florida State. The Gators. When you're playing football in Florida, what happens? You sweat a lot. So they developed this thing to produce a way to help the athletes not get dehydrated. That's why they invented Gatorade, so they could absorb water faster so they could not get dehydrated during practice. Gatorade. University of Wisconsin did an experiment with pickle juice. Okay? I love pickle juice. If you actually drink pickle juice, it's got the same electrolytes and benefits that Gatorade has. The burps are a little bit worse. Oh. But if you add a little bit of vinegar to water, does that help the body absorb the fluids faster? Yeah, a lot of people who do these cleansing diets and everything else drink vinegar and cayenne pepper and all these things. That just helps water absorb into your body faster, and so you end up flushing out a lot more toxins. I don't think it's necessarily good for you because I think you also flush out bacteria that are useful for your digestion, but whatever. Our neighbors are doing a cleanse right now with their families. They're all like, we're walking by chewing things because they're oil juices. It's kind of fun to tease them. Okay, so the organum vascular lateral terminalis, OVLT, that part of the brain registers salt. Super easy to understand. When salt is flowing into it, it tells the suprachiasmatic nucleus and the paraventricular nucleus to increase blood pressure. When salt is flowing in, it increases blood pressure. When salt is flowing out, what does it do? Lowers blood pressure. All has to do with the balance of salt. Depending on the way that the salt's flowing across the membrane, it changes the way that the vasopressin is activated. When the salt is flowing in, okay, the lateral preoptic area stimulates the behavior of drinking. What's cool is if I damage the lateral preoptic area, remember, preoptic area is behavior. Influence of behavior. So if I all of a sudden am eating a lot of salty foods, am I going to start looking at things that are liquidy? There's what was the movie with
Did you say when salt is present?
the higher the salt in the blood, the faster the sodium is moving across the membrane to the OVLT, the more likely you are to seek water drinking behaviors.
So higher the blood pressure, more salt.
No. Blood pressure is a side effect of the salt.
Okay.
It's not a cause of the thirst. It's the result. So if I have high salt in my blood, why would I raise my blood pressure? I would raise my blood pressure to get more liquid into my blood. It means my blood is more concentrated. I have to go read that again. It's complicated. Okay. So then, the lateral preoptic area makes you look for fluids. Makes you. The more we talk about drinking, what do people keep doing? The Phineas and Ferb episode where they shoot each other with the dehydration rays. Oh, it's a great one. And they're both going, let's go get a drink of water. So the idea of this lateral preoptic area controlling thirst. If you're really busy, do you notice how thirsty you are? No, because it's not a direct connection until thirst is at a critical level. What's more important than drinking when you're thirsty, because if you drink when you're actually thirsty, the OVLT is already saying your salt concentration is out. Your salt concentration's out. That means you're already too salty. Okay, so why should you just drink a little bit all the time? That maintains a healthy balance and set point. The FDA recommends you drink 8 8-ounce glasses of water a day, 64 ounces of water a day. It doesn't say you should drink them all at once. It says you should drink them slowly throughout the entire day. And my father-in-law is really funny. He never drinks water. Never. I mean, he'll have like one of those little bottles of water all day and sip on it all day. He's never dehydrated, and he has to pee all the time. So is he hydrated? According to his set point, his body maintains his hydration set point even though he doesn't drink a lot of water. Because if he does a lot of exercise or sweats a lot or is up in the mountains, does he have to drink more water? Yeah, because his balance is set a little bit low. My balance is set pretty high. I drink a lot of water, so I carry a lot of water with me. And so I can go for a longer period of time without drinking because I have a lot of water in my system. But to me, it's like sometimes like at school, I'll forget if I leave my water bottle in the car, I just won't drink any water all day because I just kind of forget about it unless I have it with me. And then when that happens, though, what happens when I get home? I'm crazy thirsty because then I realize my lateral preoptic is like, you need to drink. And I'll drink 4 or 5 big glasses of water, just chug them, and let my body kind of sort it out as the afternoon goes on. But usually that night, if I get dehydrated during the day, I snore. Because my cells are not flexible enough because they're not full of fluids. Okay. We don't care about the super details here. Okay. Why is that all zoomed in? Interesting. It's really weird how that was zoomed in. Okay. Oops. All right. I drew this on the board one semester, and my student said, that's awful. So I took a picture of it and digitized it. Here's my little hunger dinosaur. Okay, we only have a few minutes to start, so we're not going to start talking about hunger. But you got 5 minutes here. What is a diet?
Evil.
No. If you're Garfield, it's die with a T.
I'm kind of like a diet with weight.
Your diet is what you eat over time. When people say, I'm going on a diet, what do they mean? They're changing the way that they eat. Because you have a diet. And your diet is consistent. Now, what's interesting about this is that your brain has all sorts of things that we're going to go through. And what is the goal of your brain and your diet? We have our diet goals. What's your brain goals? Okay. Our brains evolved in a time when food was scarce. And as a result, our brains tell us to eat too much. Why do our brains tell us to eat too much? It's not to store fat. It turns out that coyotes aren't ever fat. You'll never ever see a fat coyote. They all pretty much look the same. They're bigger, they're smaller, but how come they all maintain a healthy set point, a healthy body weight? I'm going to sneeze. Well, the slow sneeze. Single. Okay, so if a coyote gets fat, what happens with his ability to chase down a rabbit? Can't. If a coyote gets fat, what's its likelihood of fighting off another coyote in order to mate? Low. Let me fight you. I'll eat this house cat over here. Okay? And so what coyotes do is coyotes share their food. So when they go grab your kitty cat and bring it home, bring it to the pack, and they all grab a piece and eat it, and then come back and leave a part in your front lawn because they just want you to know. I know, it's horrible. Coyotes are mean. Okay, unless you don't like cats, then they're still mean. Okay, but the coyote, well, if you ever watch dogs eat, they share their food, but what do they do first? They snag as much as they can for themselves first. It looks like they're going to eat the whole thing, but they run in and all grab a couple big bites. But once they've had a couple big bites, who gets the rest of it? And it goes down the order of the pack. The top dog, pardon the pun, gets the most food. And then as it gets down toward the bottom, the smaller, weaker ones get the least food. And that's the way it is. Now, we'll get back when we'll talk about this next time, because it's all about the balance of these two things. If you're in my 201 class, we do have our guest speaker is coming today, so I'm going to go get him food, and then we'll go up there. So,
What's the Vegas?
sorry, computer.
So that's what's going to be shocking me.
Why? I did not, or I should not? I did.